Hey everyone, what's up? It's Chelsea Van Buskirk with the Heart AF podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well. I've had a lot going on, which is why this week's podcast is coming out a little bit later than normal, but it's all good because shit happens, right? And okay, there's this really beautiful song that was actually me and my dad's song for my wedding. You know, there's the father-daughter dance. And so my dad picked the song for our dance. And the song was It Won't Be Like This for Long by Darius Rucker, which is actually a very, very sweet song. And whenever it comes on, I, of course, tear up. Kind of a little emotional right now just thinking about it because, it's essentially a song sung by a father talking about, when he first brings his new baby daughter home and those nights of no sleep. And, essentially the song saying it won't be like this for long because, then of course babies grow and then they become toddlers, and it just talks about the challenges, just as you are a parent, and just the notion that, when you're in these moments where it feels like it's forever, like the sleepless nights, or, when they're toddlers and they're being a-holes, like it won't be like this for long, right? And that's kind of the point of the song, is that, before you know it, you're walking her down the aisle, right? Getting emotional. And so the song is just a very sweet song, and obviously reminds me of my dad because he chose it for our, our dance, or I should say our role. I don't know, for those of you who know, my dad was a quadriplegic, so in a wheelchair. So for our dance, I sat in his lap, and he, moved his wheelchair around the dance floor, and that's how we did our dance. And it was actually really cool. Sorry. So just a very magical moment, I guess you could say. But anyway, following with that song, it's just so important because so many times in our lives, we're in these points, right, where things are complicated, things are hard. And I think that's an important kind of token to keep in the back of our minds, is that it won't be like this for long, right? Whatever your struggle is, it's not going to be like this forever. And I think it's a great tip, especially in parenting, because parenting is hard. It's one of the hardest jobs you do. And even being a child, having parents yourself and watching them grow old, and the frustrations you have with your own parents as they're aging and things like that, or when you have to start taking the responsibility and caring for your own parents, like that's hard. And there's a lot of hard parts of that. But again, you keep in the back of your mind, it won't be like this for long. Because it's true, your kids eventually grow up and become independent and move out, right? And just like our parents, like there comes a point where our parents become dependent, right? They need care, and that can be a lot for an adult child to take on the care of a parent and children at the same time. That happens to a lot of people now in this day and age, just because as a society, people are having kids either later, and also people are living longer. So our parents, are alive longer and needing care for longer periods of time. And it's just kind of where we're at, where a lot of, those of us who are in like the middle of adulthood, we can sometimes be split between caring for our kids and our parents at the same time. There's just a large number of that population right now in this time period. So going back to that, so knowing it won't be like this for long, right? Like it's so important to know, because you don't want to get stuck into these miserable feelings that you're feeling right now, or in the hard things, and you're just kind of like staying stuck in that moment of, being frustrated, and just keeping that little voice. And even that song, like if you guys want to go and listen to that song and just really, let those words sink in, that there is hope, right? Because I think that's, at the end of the day, depending on what the situation is and what you are struggling with and what you're trying to get through at any given moment, like we can lose hope. And this song is a reminder of hope. And that's what this episode is about, having hope, knowing that things aren't going to suck forever, right? Like things aren't going to be hard forever. And when you look back on times where things were really hard, you begin to have a different perspective. It's different when you're in it. When you're in it, it's hard to see, right? It's hard to get perspective. And so that's why it's really important to kind of pause and reflect to see if you can step back and get some outside perspective, and knowing that it won't be like this, and knowing that there comes a time where you're going to miss these days with your young kids. You're going to miss these moments with your parents when they're no longer here, right? And this got me thinking too about just how I talked about the hustle culture a few weeks ago, right? And how it's like this societal pressure that we have to like work hard, and we have to like slay all day and hustle hard and all these things. And, there's nothing wrong with working hard and going after goals. Like I've said that multiple times, but again, there needs to be this tenderness or this point where you're taking time to actually enjoy life, right? And taking time to actually be in the moment and be present and enjoy life and not get so caught up in always having to do something, always having to hustle. And I think a good lesson in this is also just nature, right? Like nature is such a big guidance system. It's right there in our face every day, right? But we just don't take the time to really acknowledge it, most of us anyway, but it has so much to teach us. Nature has so much to teach us, right? Like it shows us that life goes on no matter what, right? Like no matter what things, what chaos, what traumas happen, any of these things that happen in our lives that are so earth shattering and everything, like life goes on, right? The sun still rises every day. And this creates seasons, right? Like the earth is turning, like things are always moving, and there's these phases and seasons to things. There's seasons to life, right? Like even in parenting, talking about that, like there's seasons of parenting, right? Where, you have the infancy stage where you're having to keep this little person alive who can basically do nothing for themselves, right? Like you're doing everything for this little baby. And then as they grow and they start to become more dependent, like your parenting changes, right? You get these different stages of parenting. I'm at a place right now where I've got 3 different stages, right? I still have this toddler who's almost 4, and then I have my middle just turned 10. So she's kind of in between that, kid, almost preteen, but still a kid, she's kind of in this middle. And then I've got my 12-year-old who's almost 13, and she's full on preteen mode. Like we're in middle school, like it's a whole different ball game, right? It's different phases of parenting. I'm in different spots. It's different. And what I wanted to elaborate with this whole thing, like these phases, these seasons, is that it's okay to take time off sometimes, right? Like it's okay to, hibernate and to grow and to plan and to do these things. You think about, farming or growing vegetables. Like if you do a garden, there's seasons, right? There's like a time where you're getting the soil ready, and then you're planting the seeds. And then when they sprout and they're ready to be planted, and then you water them, you let them grow, right? They're getting sunshine, they're getting their nutrients, and they're growing. And it has the season of growth, right? So then there's this time period of growth, and then finally you start bearing fruit, right? The vegetables and the fruits start growing until it's time for them to be like harvested and picked, right? So that's important to apply to our life too, because there's seasons, there's phases of things. You don't have to be, tilling the soil all year round, right? There's a period for that. There's a period for, rest and growth. And so I think that's something that you need to apply to like so many different things, especially when it comes to, business and doing things like, when we have these goals for our lives, right? When we want to change things about ourselves, like to really give ourselves this space and also this grace to be able to do it in a manner that's cohesive with whatever season we're in. So I can give you an example. In 2017, I had joined a new business building program, and I was about to build my own online-based business, and it was going to be fitness and health themed because I had a lot of experience with dieting, and I used to sell nutrition products, and I saw just how awful I felt like this diet culture was, where people were just thinking they had to sacrifice so much, and they were just extreme dieting and just trying to live up to these non-sustainable ways of getting fit, right? And so I wanted to start a business that was all about sustainability and basically being able to enjoy your physique and to be healthy and fit, but also live your life. And so that was something that I wanted to build and be a voice for that, and put a lot of money into a program to help me build my business and do this online health fitness coaching thing. And my dad got really sick. He was very, very close to dying in 2017, and I left my home in Colorado and flew out to meet him in Lubbock, Texas, where he had been airlifted from his hometown in New Mexico because he had lost a lot of oxygen to his brain. And so I think they call it an anoxic brain injury, where essentially, his oxygen levels were so low that there was a brief moment where he was not getting enough oxygen, And anyway, so he was intubated and he was in ICU for a very long time. And I flew out. I stayed in Lubbock for 6 weeks by his side, and it was a very challenging time. But anyway, I'm right in the middle of trying to start this business. Do you think I was like still trying to run this business while my dad's life was in balance, and I was like fighting for him and being his advocate in the hospital and sleeping in the hospital, staying up nights and, only resting during the day for a couple hours, and my uncle would come and stay in the hospital room with him so I could, nap and shower, whatever. No, like I wasn't building a business right then, right? Like that time was a season for me to step in and be there for my dad, right? I actually took a break from being with my husband and kids in that period. I made a decision to be there for my father and fight for him and be his advocate and help him recuperate. And he did. He was able to, rehabilitate and get back to life. Things were not quite the same after this illness because, like I said, he suffered that anoxic brain injury. So, somebody who is already quadriplegic, already limited, and a lot of his abilities bounced back, but also then had more limitations. And that was really hard for him to, come back. And, I think he was thankful to be alive, but he also was really upset in a lot of ways because he did lose some of the independence he did have previously. He already didn't have a lot of independence in his state, and then more of it got taken away. So that was a hard thing for him, but, that's kind of another story. But I'm just saying, that was a season where I had to do that and be that for my dad. And, I think about too, all the weight that I had put on, when I was grieving after he passed, like that really wasn't the right time for me to start a rigorous fitness and health routine, right? Like that was a time where I just needed to focus on getting out of bed. I needed to focus on taking a shower, right? Like I was so in the throes of grief that I just needed to like do enough to just survive the day to day to still be there and available for my kids. And, honestly, I probably wasn't the best mom in the depths of my grief, initially. Like I probably wasn't fully present in a lot of ways, but that was the season I was in. Again, like this is the point I'm trying to make, is that there's seasons of life that you go through and it's okay. That's the biggest thing I want you to know, is that it's okay, because you don't have to be, gunning it and going 24/7, 365. That's not natural. That's going against like the natural rhythms of life, right? Like, there's phases of the moon and there's phases to a woman's cycle, right? And like each phase is equally as important. So, you think of like the seasons changing, right? Like where, winter, that's like a hibernation period. That's a time for like maybe planning and like organizing and resting, right? And then the spring comes and maybe that's when you like really hustle. That's when you're working and you're planting the seeds and you're doing the go-getter, you're creating, you're doing all these things. And then the summer times when you kind of let it, you let all your work pay off and you get to let it grow and bloom. And then the falls, maybe when you come and harvest things, right? Where things are like snowballing, taking action, like you're actually reaping what you sowed, so to speak, right? Like, so there's seasons to things. And no, you don't have to like just, plan and rest during the winter time and only work hard in the spring. Like I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying use nature as your guide. Use it as a helpful tool to see that it's okay to cycle things and it's okay to organize your life in a way to where you're not getting burned out because you're systematically having these phases, right? Like where, you can even phase your days out, right? Like when you're scheduling your time, like, I rest this period or I take a little break here. This is my part of the day where I'm most creative, I'm most awake. So this is the part where I'm creating and I'm doing things. And then this is the time where I'm more like low key and I can do more like data entry or things like that, right? Like there's ways to apply this kind of cyclical or phase thing, in your day to day and your weeks, like in your months, even like when you're planning out your months and days, like this is the day that I do all these tasks, So I'm just saying it's a way to really reflect and look at your life and how you can set yourself up for success by allowing yourself to work in phases and taking time out when you need to and knowing that it's okay. And like, if you do have to take time off for something that's happening in your life right now, like that's okay. Like you have to do what's best for you in that moment. Like, things come up and sometimes you have to rearrange things because that's what you need in that time. And you really have to think about like what's most important to you and what do you value. And, I just think it's so important to keep ourselves in check by having, daily reflections or weekly reflections where we're really looking at like, what are we doing with our time and what's useful with our time and where are we giving our energy and where should we be, pulling back on some of the things and really looking at, where are we creating joy in our lives? Because I have noticed people who, are easily depressed or who easily lose their joy because they're just living their lives day to day, just following their routines, and they're unaware, right? They're checked out. They're just going through the motions of life, and they're not really present. They're not really there, right? Like they're not really living. And that's where we can, kind of spiral into these negative loops and stay stuck, and depression comes more easily because we're in this low vibrational state, because we're not really living. We're just going day by day, going through the days, just going through the motions, and just, kind of sleepwalking, right? Sleepwalking through life, like not really like changing anything or doing anything. And there is a thing about seasonal depression, right? When it is more cloudy and cold, like it can affect you, right? And it's so important, again, to just be an advocate for yourself and to check yourself and reflect and see, like, what are you doing and where are you going in your life? And it's okay if you don't have all the answers, but it's important to check in. And if you're unhappy, if you're feeling that slump and you're feeling down, you have to be that advocate for yourself and pull yourself up and be proactive and like, what can I do to change this? Because I will tell you, it's nobody else's responsibility to make you happy but yourself. And that's where I think we get into trouble sometimes, is we rely on things or other people or setting goals or achievements. Like we think our happiness is based. So when I achieve this, then I'm going to be happy. When I complete this project, I'm going to be happy. When I have a child, I'm going to be happy. Like all these, I mean, it could be anything. Like when I get this car, I'm going to be happy. When I land this account, when I have this many followers, when blah, 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 like then I'll be happy. Then things will be going great. No, things are great when you make them great. You're happy when you choose to be happy, right? Life's continually moving. The sun's rising and setting each day, right? The moon's doing its phases, right? Day in and day out. It's doing its thing. It knows its job. It's living life. It's doing its thing. And the days are going to pass you by, right? Like time is going to pass you by, and you need to check in and see what's missing in your life. See what you can do for yourself to bring yourself more joy, to make sure that you are taking control and responsibility in your life, because you get to choose where you spend your time. You get to choose what you're giving away and what you want to do, right? Like you let yourself get tied up in doing all these things that you don't want to do because you're saying yes to things that you need to say no to, right? We're not setting boundaries. We're not present. If we're not present and we're not checking in with ourselves, then we can't articulate and set our boundaries and do the things that we need to do for ourselves, right? We just kind of like let things happen to us. This is when we let life happen to us instead of taking control and being in charge of our own lives, right? And then the truth of it is you don't have anybody else to blame but yourself. You can't blame your problems or your unhappiness or your depression on anything or anybody else but yourself. You have got to take control. You have to be your A1 from day one and rise up and do the things you need to do to keep moving forward. And like I said, give yourself grace, give yourself time. This does not mean that you have to be like hustling. Like, when you're going so hard all the time, you're not taking care of yourself. You're just go, go, go. Take a time out. There's seasons for a reason, right? Take a breath, take a step back, realign, plan, figure out how to reorganize things to better fit your schedule, to better fit your life, to better fit how you can take care of yourself and thrive and be successful, right? There are ways to make things happen the way you want them to go, right? Like there's ways to create the life of your dreams. I'm dead serious. It's so real and so possible. It's just that we doubt ourselves and we don't believe it's true. And what did I say last week, right? Like you'll see it when you believe it. Like you have got to have that belief in yourself and believe that things are possible and believe in hope. And again, that's why I want to come back to where I started with this song. It won't be like this for long. If you're stuck, it won't be like this for long. You don't have to let it. You are responsible. You can change things. You can stand up, right? Like so many times you might think you're drowning and it's a small pool and it's really just because you're on your knees and all you have to do is stand up. You stand up and the water's not that deep. You just have to stand up. But if you don't stand up, you are going to slowly drown, right? So stand up for yourself, rise up. Like it's so important. Take a time out. If things are shitty right now, take a deep breath. It won't be like this for long, I promise. Know that. Keep that hope deep inside you because you can bounce back. You can rise up. Things can be good again. Take it from me. I mean, I know so many other people have experienced so much other loss and pain too. I've been there though. I know what it's like to grieve. I know what it's like to go through pain. I know what it's like to not know if you are going to have a relationship, like your life partner, the next day, right? Like, I know what it's like to have those kinds of fears where you are questioning your whole life, right? Because of something that may have happened or has come up, right? Like, I get it. I know what it's like to be scared and not know what's coming, and it's okay. It's going to be okay. It won't be like this for long. You're going to figure it out. You just have to take a time out, reflect, and then remember that you do have the power. You have the power to make changes, to decide how you want to live your life. You have the power to choose how you feel, right? Like it all starts with you and your mindset and your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. I'm here to encourage you and to help you see that there is hope, and to see that it's okay to take a break. Like, you don't have to go 0 to 100, gas on the pedal, like full throttle all the time. It doesn't have to be like that. Like, it's a twisted world that puts that idea into our heads, but that's not the way it is. That is not the way plants grow, right? Like, I'm looking outside my window. The trees don't have any leaves on them right now. Why? Because it's not the season for that, right? Pretty soon the little buds are going to start coming out. Springtime, they'll blossom. Summer, we're going to have full trees, right? It's seasonal. It's fine to just take things as they come, and to take time to do things that we need to do, and take a time out when we need to take a time out, and just realize that every stage, no matter where you're at, is beautiful and necessary, right? Taking time off is necessary. Resting is necessary. Making sure you're taking care of yourself is necessary. Like, you cannot fully thrive and be happy and joyful if you're going 100% all the time, if you're keeping yourself stuck and telling yourself these negative affirmations, right? Like, when you're like stuck in that like depressive state, like, you're going to keep yourself there until you can pull yourself back up, right? Like, you're going to stay stuck unless you do something about it. And it's okay to be there and feel those feelings and be in the moment, but don't stay there, okay? Let it go, process it, let it go, rise up, get back up. The sun will always shine. It always comes back. And I know if you're local here in Colorado, we've had a shitty January where it's been very cold, like abnormally cold, a lot more snow than normal, and more cloudy days than sunshine, I swear. And it fucks with you. It definitely messes with you. And the sun's now in the forecast, like, even though it's still cold, when the sun's out, it feels amazing. And that sun is your hope, okay? Even when the clouds are there, the sun's still there behind them, right? If you can't see the sun, it's still there every day. It's still there. Even when you can't see it, even when the clouds are covering it, it's still there. The sun is the hope. And that's what I want you to hold on to, is having hope. Even when times get rough, it won't be like this for long, okay? So just take that to heart. Keep that in mind. Sending you guys all so much love this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Let me know how you're feeling. Did this episode speak to you? I want to know, like, have you gone through seasons in your own life? Have you noticed that where you kind of take time off, or maybe you need to? Was this an awareness check for you? Like, were you not aware that maybe this is something that you do, or you need to take some time off and reflect? Did it speak to you to know that it won't be like this for long? Like, I would love to know and hear back from you what your thoughts were on this week's episode. You can send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram. My handle is at chelsea.vanbuskirk, or you can find me on my website at chelseavanbuskirk.com. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.